most reggae music in Jamaica is just made of drum and bass and guitar. I hear some music where I can't hear nothing more than drum and the bass.
You might think you know Peter Tosh, the reggae rebel who sang about freedom and fought for justice. But the story of his heart is far less public. His relationship with Ivonne Whittingham was intense, passionate, and in the end, devastating. They weren't just a couple. They were two forces colliding in a world full of fame, music, and pressure. Ivonne was more than a muse. She was the love that grounded him, the anchor in a life that often felt chaotic. But heartbreak came knocking, and it hit harder than any stage performance could. Losing her wasn't just painful, it changed him forever. Peter Tosh's music, his anger, and his outlook on life shifted in ways fans could feel in every note. This is the story of love, loss, and the man who could never recover from the woman who once held his heart. Life before Ivonne. Peter Tosh, born Winston Hubert McIntosh on October 19, 1944, in Grange Hill, Westmoreland, Jamaica, grew up in circumstances that deeply shaped both his character and his music. His mother raised him, but his father was largely absent, leaving him with feelings of abandonment and independence that became recurring themes in his worldview. Life in rural Jamaica was not easy, and Tosh often reflected on the struggles of poverty, inequality, and survival that defined his childhood. These experiences gave him a sharp awareness of injustice from an early age, something that would later fuel the fire of his revolutionary songs. Music became one of Tosh's earliest outlets. Unlike many musicians who began in church choirs, Tosh's fascination started with instruments themselves. As a child, he displayed a natural ability to pick up and play almost anything he touched. By the time he was a teenager, he had already taught himself guitar by watching and mimicking others. This self-driven learning style reflected his fierce independence. He never liked to be told what to do, even when it came to art. Tosh carried this stubborn streak throughout his life, often refusing to conform to industry pressures or social expectations. He also developed a love for improvisation, often experimenting with melodies and rhythms long before formal training, which gave his later music a distinctive, raw energy. In his teenage years, Tosh moved to Kingston, Jamaica's capital, to live with his aunt in the tough neighborhood of Trenchtown. This move proved pivotal. Trenchtown was the epicenter of Jamaica's evolving music culture in the 1950s and 60s, a place where ska, rocksteady, and eventually reggae were born. Life there was rough, but it was also alive with creativity. It was in this environment that Tosh crossed paths with two young men who would change his life forever. Robert Nesta, Bob Marley, and Neville "Bunny" Wailer Livingston. The three bonded over their love of music and a shared determination to use it as a means of escape and expression. They began rehearsing together under the guidance of vocal teacher Joe Higgs, who drilled them on harmonies, stage presence, and discipline. These early sessions laid the foundation for what would become the Wailers, a group that would eventually take reggae to the world stage. Tosh, taller than the others and known for his sharp wit and rebellious personality, often stood out as the boldest of the trio. His willingness to challenge authority, both in music and in life, began here, forming the cornerstone of the uncompromising revolutionary persona he would carry into his solo career. Before forming the Wailers officially, Tosh and his bandmates experimented with the ska sound that dominated Jamaica at the time. He recorded early tracks like Maga Dog and Shame and Scandal, which hinted at his flair for both humor and biting social commentary. Even in these first recordings, Tosh's lyrical style leaned toward challenging authority, speaking truth to power, and addressing hypocrisy. While Marley often leaned into universal messages of unity, Tosh established himself early on as the fiery, revolutionary voice of the group. As the 1960s progressed, the Wailers transitioned from ska to the slower, more rhythm-heavy style of reggae. This shift aligned with Jamaica's political and social transformation after gaining independence from Britain in 1962. Tosh's music began to mirror the turbulence of the times, songs about oppression, inequality, and Rastafarian spirituality. Tosh fully embraced the Rastafari movement, which shaped his appearance, philosophy, and lyrical themes. He became an outspoken advocate for cannabis legalization, African repatriation, and resistance against Babylon, a term Rastafarians used to describe oppressive governments and systems. Although Tosh was known for his seriousness and uncompromising ideals, those who knew him described a sharp sense of humor and a love for wordplay. This duality, both stern revolutionary and witty observer, helped him craft lyrics that were as cutting as they were memorable. His role within the Wailers was essential. He played guitar, sang harmonies, and often acted as the group's spokesman when it came to issues of justice. Unlike Marley, who sometimes took a more diplomatic approach, Tosh rarely softened his words. By the early 1970s, tensions began to emerge within the Wailers. Tosh grew increasingly frustrated with how record companies and producers treated the group, often favoring Marley as the frontman. While he respected Marley's talent and vision, Tosh was unwilling to play a secondary role in a band he had helped create. His outspoken personality and unwillingness to compromise made him both a powerful force and a difficult figure in the eyes of the industry. Before meeting Ivonne Whittingham, who would later become an important figure in his personal and professional life, Tosh had already established himself as a musical revolutionary. His early life in Westmoreland, the formative years in Trenchtown, and his rise with the Wailers shaped him into an artist who refused to be silenced. His experiences with poverty, his embrace of Rastafari, and his fierce independence all combined to form the foundation of the man who would later become known not just as a reggae star, but as a fearless cultural and political voice. Life before Peter. Ivonne Whittingham's early life remains largely undocumented in publicly available sources. Most information about her focuses on her relationship with Peter Tosh and the tragic events surrounding her death. There is no widely accessible record detailing her upbringing, education, family background, or personal achievements before meeting Tosh. Some accounts suggest that Ivonne came from a wealthy family. Her parents reportedly did not initially approve of her relationship with Peter Tosh, reflecting concerns about their differing social standings. Despite these challenges, Ivonne and Tosh's bond deepened, with her playing a significant role in his life and career. She was described as not only his partner, but also his confidant and advisor, providing emotional and intellectual support during pivotal moments in his journey. While the specifics of Ivonne Whittingham's early life remain scarce, her impact on Peter Tosh's life and work is undeniable. Her memory continues to be honored by those who recognize the depth of her influence on the reggae legend. Meeting his soulmate. Peter Tosh, the fiery and revolutionary reggae icon, found a rare and profound connection with Ivonne Whittingham during a transformative period in his life. Having recently parted ways with the Wailers, Tosh was navigating the complexities of a solo career. Amidst this transition, Ivonne entered his life, bringing with her a sense of stability and understanding that Tosh had not known before. Ivonne, hailing from a well-established Jamaican family, was not just a companion, but a partner in every sense. Her intellect and grace complemented Tosh's passionate and often tumultuous nature. She was more than just a muse. She was his confidant, his advisor, and, as Tosh often referred to her, his soulmate. Their bond was deep and genuine. Tosh frequently spoke of Ivonne as the love of his life, the woman who understood him in ways no one else could. Their connection transcended the physical. It was spiritual. Yvonne's presence brought a sense of calm to Tosh's often turbulent life. She provided him with a grounding force, helping him navigate the challenges of fame and the pressures of the music industry. What makes their relationship even more remarkable is how much Ivonne influenced Tosh's work during those years. When he was shaping Legalize It in 1976, Tosh leaned on her, not just for encouragement, but for her perspective on the message he was sending out. He knew the album wasn't just music, it was a bold political statement. Having Yvonne's voice in the background gave him confidence to stay true to his vision, even when critics and authorities pushed back. Behind the scenes, she often managed practical details that freed Tosh to focus on the creative side. She encouraged his unshakable stance on issues like marijuana, legalization, and social justice, and she wasn't afraid to tell him when something needed fine-tuning. Tosh, known for his fiery independence, respected her counsel in a way that showed just how much trust he placed in her. Friends close to them described their home life as surprisingly grounded, For someone like Tosh, who lived in the public eye and constantly wrestled with controversy, Ivonne offered a sense of normalcy. She brought balance, making sure there was laughter and peace amid the chaos of rehearsals, tours, and the endless business of music. Their relationship was a testament to the power of love and mutual respect. In a world where relationships in the spotlight often face scrutiny and challenges, Tosh and Ivonne's bond stood as a beacon of authenticity and devotion. Their connection was a rare find in the entertainment industry, where genuine partnerships can sometimes be overshadowed by the demands of fame. Guidance and support. After parting ways with the Wailers, Peter Tosh embarked on a solo career that was both exhilarating and challenging. Amidst this transition, Ivonne Whittingham entered his life, bringing with her a sense of stability and understanding that Tosh had not known before. Ivonne, hailing from a well-established Jamaican family, was not just a companion, but a partner in every sense. Her intellect and grace complemented Tosh's passionate and often tumultuous nature. She was more than just a muse, she was his confidant, his advisor, and, as Tosh often referred to her, his soulmate. Their bond was deep and genuine. Tosh frequently spoke of Ivonne as the love of his life, the woman who understood him in ways no one else could. Their connection transcended the physical, it was spiritual. Ivonne's presence brought a sense of calm to Tosh's often turbulent life. She provided him with a grounding force, helping him navigate the challenges of fame and the pressures of the music industry. What stood out during this period was how closely Ivonne tied into Tosh's artistic growth. When he started shaping Legalize It, released in 1976, she wasn't simply in the background. Tosh actively leaned on her perspective, discussing lyrics, tone, and the political weight of the record. He was building an album that would not only introduce him as a solo artist, but also challenge authority with its unapologetic stance on marijuana and justice. Having Ivonne's steady voice beside him helped him refine his ideas without losing his fire. At the same time, Ivonne created balance in Tosh's everyday life. While he was known for being outspoken, even confrontational at times, she knew how to calm the storm. Friends recalled that she often encouraged him to rest, to focus, and not to let outside pressures shake his confidence. This steady influence meant that Tosh could step into the studio or onto the stage with more clarity, something that was vital as he worked to prove himself outside of the Wailers. Ivonne's influence wasn't limited to personal encouragement. She gave him an anchor in a period filled with change, offering practical advice when it came to decisions about shows, recording sessions, and even the people he allowed in his circle. Tosh respected her input, which said a lot, considering how fiercely independent he was known to be. Their relationship was a testament to the power of love and mutual respect. In a world where relationships in the spotlight often face scrutiny and challenges, Tosh and Ivonne's bond stood as a beacon of authenticity and devotion. Their connection was a rare find in the entertainment industry, where genuine partnerships can sometimes be overshadowed by the demands of fame. A little influence. Peter Tosh's debut solo album, Legalize It, released in 1976, marked a pivotal moment in his career. While the album showcased his unique voice and revolutionary messages, behind the scenes, Ivonne Whittingham played an instrumental role in shaping its creation. During the recording sessions at Treasure Isle and Randy's studios in Kingston, Tosh often sought Ivonne's input on various aspects of the album. Her insights into the musical arrangements and lyrical content were invaluable. Tosh respected her judgment, and her presence during these sessions provided a sense of balance and perspective. The track Legalize, it became an anthem for the movement advocating for the decriminalization of marijuana. Its bold message and catchy rhythm resonated with many, propelling Tosh into international stardom. Ivonne's support and encouragement during the songwriting process were crucial in bringing this vision to life. Beyond the music, Ivonne and Tosh shared a deep commitment to social justice and equality. Their relationship was built on mutual respect and a shared vision for a better world. This shared ideology permeated the album, with songs addressing issues like oppression, freedom, and the rights of the marginalized. Ivonne's influence ensured that the messages were not only heard, but felt deeply by listeners. Ivonne also played a quieter but equally important role in giving Tosh the confidence to step out of Bob Marley's shadow. After leaving the Wailers, Tosh faced doubts from critics who wondered if he could carry the weight of a solo career. Ivonne reminded him of his talent and his unique voice as an artist. Her faith in him reinforced his determination to push forward, even when industry figures tried to limit his reach. In those studio days, Yvonne's presence was more than emotional support. She often reminded Tosh to stay disciplined, to focus on his message without letting frustration over politics and censorship derail his creativity. That kind of grounding made a difference, especially as authorities in Jamaica watched him closely for his outspoken lyrics. Legalize. It became more than just an album. It was a reflection of a partnership grounded in love, respect, and shared ideals. The success of the album catapulted Tosh to international fame, but it also highlighted the profound impact of Ivonne Whittingham on his life and music. Her legacy lives on through the songs they created together, serving as a testament to their enduring bond. The tragic end. In 1973, Peter Tosh's life was irrevocably altered by a tragic event that would leave an indelible mark on his personal and professional journey. While driving with his girlfriend, Ivonne Whittingham, their car was struck by another vehicle traveling on the wrong side of the road. The collision resulted in Yvonne's untimely death and left Tosh with severe injuries, including a fractured skull and facial scars. Ivonne Whittingham was not just Peter Tosh's girlfriend, she was his confidant, advisor, and the love of his life. Her intellect, grace, and shared passion for social justice deeply influenced Tosh's music and worldview. Together, they navigated the complexities of the music industry, with Ivonne providing invaluable support during the creation of Tosh's debut album, Legalize It. Her tragic death left a void in Tosh's life that nothing could fill. The physical injuries Tosh sustained in the accident were severe. He suffered broken ribs, a fractured jaw, and facial scars that would remain with him for the rest of his life. However, the emotional toll was even more profound. Losing Ivonne, his closest companion and source of support, plunged Tosh into a period of deep grief and introspection. In the aftermath of the accident, Tosh's demeanor shifted dramatically. Known for his fiery and unapologetic stance on social issues, he became even more resolute and uncompromising. The loss of Ivonne intensified his commitment to advocating for justice, equality, and the legalization of marijuana. Her memory fueled his activism and artistic expression, leading to more poignant and politically charged music. The years following the accident saw Tosh channel his grief into creativity. Songs like Magadog and Burial took on heavier meaning, addressing betrayal, mortality, and resilience. These tracks resonated with listeners because they weren't just songs. They were reflections of a man wrestling with loss while refusing to be broken by it. For Tosh, music became a way to keep Yvonne's spirit alive, embedding her influence into every chord and lyric. Friends and collaborators noted that Tosh carried himself differently after 1973. He was more guarded, but at the same time, more driven. The scars on his face became physical reminders of what he had endured, while the intensity in his music showed how much he was determined to fight on. He spoke often about injustice, oppression, and the hypocrisy of those in power, and many believed that Yvonne's death pushed him to speak even louder. While Ivonne Whittingham's life was tragically cut short, her influence on Peter Tosh and his music endures. She remains a central figure in his story, symbolizing love, partnership, and the enduring power of shared ideals. Her memory continues to inspire those who appreciate the depth and authenticity of Tosh's work. Life after Ivonne. The death of Ivonne Whittingham in 1973 left a scar on Peter Tosh that no amount of fame, music, or companionship could heal. Her loss was more than the end of a relationship. It was the severing of a lifeline that had kept Tosh grounded during the turbulent years following his split from the Wailers. In the years that followed, his demeanor changed noticeably. The fiery spirit and rebellious energy that had always been part of his persona became sharper, more pronounced, and, to those around him, often harder to approach. Friends, collaborators, and even family members noticed that Tosh was no longer the same man who had once laughed easily, strategized thoughtfully, and relied on Yvonne's steady guidance in both life and business. Grief has a way of reshaping not only how we feel, but how we interact with the world. For Tosh, the absence of Ivonne created an emotional distance that touched every part of his life. His music, already infused with social commentary and political messages, became even more charged with intensity. Lyrics reflected not only his frustration with societal injustices, but also the personal pain of losing the woman who had been his anchor. Songs like Maga Dog and Burial capture a rawness that fans can feel, a blend of anger, sorrow, and a determined resolve to carry on despite profound personal loss. In the mid-1970s, as Tosh pushed forward with his solo career, the impact of Ivonne's death could be seen in his interactions with others. While he attracted loyal musicians and collaborators, his uncompromising nature often made recording sessions tense. Producers and fellow artists admired his brilliance, but sometimes struggled with his demand for perfection and his sharp words when things fell short of his expectations. Those close to him linked this change to the void Ivonne left behind. Without her calming influence, Tosh carried the weight of decision-making alone, and his patience wore thin. His personal life reflected the same pattern. Tosh had relationships with other women and fathered children, but even those who were closest to him admitted that no one could truly replace Ivonne. She had been a partner who balanced his intensity with compassion, a rare match of passion and wisdom. Later, his relationship with Marlene Brown provided companionship, but observers often remarked that a part of him still seemed guarded, unwilling to be as vulnerable as he had once been. The scars from the accident that took Ivonne remain visible on Tosh's face, but they also served as an unspoken reminder of the loss he carried daily. He wore them like armor, a physical symbol of his survival, but also of the emotional distance that grew after her death. That armor gave him strength in the public eye, reinforcing his image as a fearless rebel, but privately, it highlighted the pain that never truly faded. Despite this, Tosh kept Ivonne's influence alive in his music and activism. He often returned to the issues they had shared a passion for: justice, equality, and the right to live freely without oppression. Fans and friends alike sensed that Ivonne's memory was a quiet presence in his work, guiding him even after her passing. Ultimately, Ivonne's death became a defining moment in Peter Tosh's life. It shaped not only the man he became, but also the music that continues to resonate with listeners decades later. Her absence created a void that could never be filled, yet it also added a depth and honesty to his art that might not have emerged otherwise. Tosh's legacy is inseparable from her memory, a lasting testament to how love and loss can shape an artist's voice in ways that echo long after both are gone. Love and loss. The death of Ivonne Whittingham became a defining moment that influenced Peter Tosh's music, persona, and worldview for the rest of his life. Tosh's love for Ivonne had been deep, unwavering, and all-encompassing. She was his confidant, his partner in both life and music, and the grounding force who helped him navigate the pressures of fame, the music industry, and the political undertones of reggae. Losing her created a void that was impossible to fill, and the grief he experienced reverberated through every aspect of his existence. This profound loss did not paralyze Tosh. Instead, it became a catalyst for transformation in his art and advocacy. His music, already steeped in themes of social justice and equality, gained a sharper edge, infused with the raw emotion of someone who had experienced the deepest human pain. Tracks like Maga Dog and Burial reveal the complex layers of his grief, blending sorrow, anger, and an unflinching determination to push forward despite loss. In these songs, listeners can hear the echoes of Ivonne's influence, the moral compass, and the voice of reason that had guided him during the creation of his debut solo album, Legalize It. Ivonne's absence also affected Tosh's public persona. Known for his uncompromising stances on justice, freedom, and human rights, he became even more formidable after her death. Friends and collaborators described him as increasingly intense and exacting, a man whose emotional scars made him both brilliant and challenging to approach. The accident that claimed Ivonne's life left Tosh with permanent physical scars, including injuries to his face, which he carried as silent reminders of that tragedy. For some, these scars hardened his image as the militant stepping razor, a man who had endured pain and refused to bend. Yet beneath that hardened surface was a vulnerability that only those who understood the depth of his grief could perceive. His fiery activism and uncompromising lyrics were not only political, but deeply personal, rooted in loss. His calls for justice and equality became louder, more insistent, as if shouting for a better world was also a way of keeping Ivonne's vision alive. The legalization of marijuana, the rights of the poor, and the struggles against oppression were causes they had shared, and Tosh carried them forward with renewed urgency. Even in his personal life, the shadow of Ivonne's loss remained. Tosh fathered several children with different women and later developed a relationship with Marlene Brown, but none of these connections replaced the profound bond he had shared with Ivonne. She had been his soulmate, the one person who fully understood his vision, his dreams, and his fears. Her memory lingered in every choice he made, every lyric he wrote, and every public statement he delivered. Tosh's legacy is inseparable from this story of love and loss. He is remembered not only as a pioneering reggae artist and cultural revolutionary, but also as a man whose capacity for deep love left a lasting imprint on his work. His story reminds us that creativity is often born from pain, and that the personal experiences of an artist are inseparable from the messages they share with the world. Tosh channeled his grief into music that continues to resonate, inspiring generations of listeners to consider the intersections of love, loss, and social responsibility. Ultimately, the influence of Ivonne Whittingham on Peter Tosh's life and career demonstrates the enduring power of love. It is a testament to how one person can shape another's life, not only in their time together, but for decades afterward. Tosh's music, activism, and persona are all colored by the memory of Ivonne, making her role in his story one of profound significance. Even decades later, when fans hear the passion and conviction in his songs, they are also hearing the echoes of a love that transformed a man and, in turn, helped transform reggae music itself. Peter Tosh's story of love found, lost, and immortalized in music serves as a powerful reminder of the human capacity to love deeply and persevere. It underscores the idea that even in the face of tragedy, the legacies we leave behind are shaped by the people who touched our lives, and that the pain of loss can give rise to beauty, courage, and enduring inspiration. They say love leaves a mark that time can never erase, and for Peter Tosh, that mark was Ivonne Whittingham. Her influence shaped his heart, his music, and his legacy, leaving a void that echoed through every note he sang and every message he shared. As we reflect on their story, it's clear that Tosh's passion for justice, equality, and truth was fueled not only by his own spirit, but by the love he lost too soon. If you've ever felt the power of someone who truly understood you, you know the depth of what Tosh experienced. His story reminds us that love can inspire greatness, and loss can carve the path to legacy. Thanks for watching, and if Tosh's journey moved you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you won't miss our next dive into the lives of the legends who shaped music and history.